welcome to the Marvelous Post-Blip Podcast. I'm Avenger Dave.
I'm Shawn, Fangirl.
And I'm Steve. Today we're talking about episode 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, titled New World Order, written by Malcolm Spellman and directed by Carrie Scoglin.
Well done, Carrie. So, what do you guys think? Initial reaction, Shawn?
I really liked it. I was watching it again so I can try to get everything I had missed, because we did pause it actually a couple times during the show because I'm like, wait a second, hold on. And my husband and I had to talk out what was happening. So the fact that actually happened watching the show, I feel like that's a good sign, because it's like you don't just zone out watching. It's making you like think about things and already start putting together. And I don't know if that's because we're already in the second Marvel show on Disney Plus, because the first one really messed all of us up, I think. So I think that's why I'm like, oh yeah, okay, wait, we got to watch this. Take notes, pay attention.
Wasn't the show originally supposed to precede WandaVision? Yeah.
Was.
Huh.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. I wonder what else might be messed up in there then.
Yeah. I guess Marvel's experiencing their own post-blip or COVID-affected scheduling.
Oh, yeah, that I don't doubt.
Steve, what do you think?
Well, it kind of gave us a little bit of everything. I mean, we get a bunch of Captain America talk. We get to see the Shield. We get to see Falcon in action, and even some Winter Soldier in action, be it a flashback. And then we get to have the realization that this is a different world than we're used to. So I enjoyed the hell out of it.
That's good. Yeah, we're mostly, everything is in our world, except our world really doesn't have all these superheroes.
Right.
But just put that template down over reality. It really does fit well. I mean,
yes,
we're going through a COVID world and they're going through a post-blip world. So the parallels are pretty close.
I have to say I like the fact that they did not like sweep that under the rug about the blip. Like they've mentioned it and more than once.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I start to wonder, it's like, oh, are they going to actually mention the incident, or, you know, like some of the TV shows we're talking about? Yeah. What the New York incident, or like they wouldn't say what it is, but this one actually said post blip world and blah. So I'm liking that they're not ignoring that and they really are using this to help tie things. I don't know how far they're going to tie it together, but we're getting pieces at least.
Well, they're going to have to be economical with it because it's only 6 episodes and now there's only 5 left. So they're going to have to figure a way to, there's a lot of story to tell. I really liked it too. I like how Marvel does it so well with their humanizing of their heroes, their grief, depression, guilt, race relations, and everything else is definitely on target. I know we're not doing ratings, but I was thinking if we did do a rating, I would give it 4 out of 5 Avenger shrimp boats. I enjoyed it too. We'll get into the details, but there was like action and pathos.
Yeah, and we didn't even have to wait for the action to start.
No.
I do have to say, too, before we jump in, all the memes that have come out of this already.
Oh, really?
I love, well, we had the one that it showed Sam, Bucky, and Wanda all standing together from the last movie. It's like the We Need Therapy crew, but we got shows instead. And most recently, that very last scene, which we'll of course get to when we get to it, that moment that I think a lot of people were pissed about. I am one of those people, I will tell you that. They're like on screen for like 0.6 seconds. Everybody hates this person, but Loki on screen for hours did horrible things. Everyone loves him.
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So, guilty.
So I think we're going to get some fun memes out of this whole thing. If nothing else, but I already think everyone's going to get a little bit of what they want, because first episode I thought was pretty juicy already.
No doubt about
Let's jump into our really, really tiny short recap, which I'm sure we'll expand as we go. But Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes realize that their futures are anything but normal. Really? Yeah. I think we figured that out a while ago.
Right.
With this crew, but yeah, I mean, it's good. Can I say one more thing before we go on?
Sure.
What was with some of the weird camera angles? Like, did they literally have to have it in his face like that here and there? I don't need to see somebody's pores. I'm just saying.
Well, you better talk to Carrie about that.
Yeah.
It's like back that camera up just a little bit. I don't need to know if there's a blackhead, but
I get spinach on your teeth.
yeah, right.
Well, we open the series on a quiet note as birds chirp in the background. Sam Wilson is suiting up, but in a different way than expected. He's dressed in a black tie, opting to put the shield Steve Rogers gave to him at the end of Endgame in a bag. Then we cut to a military airplane. You go, what the hell? Where he's being briefed on his mission. Save a captain from the criminal organization LAF. You were thinking he was about to go to a funeral.
That's what I was thinking. Like we were going further back from
to
like the last
Steve's
movie.
funeral, and
yeah,
all of a sudden we're in the air, and it's like, huh?
Yeah, I think
technically we don't know if
people
he's dead.
off.
Right, we don't know if Steve's dead at this point. He's just retired.
Yeah, he's dead. So
burst my bubble.
Well, actually, in the comics, nobody's ever dead. I know a lot of people had some people couldn't decide if that was a flash forward or a flash back, especially in terms of the packing the shield away. But if you look at it time-wise, I guess he packed it up. He's going to Smithsonian, but when he left Torres, he says he has to go to Washington. So the Washington scene, which came first, was actually second, and the action in, I guess, Tunisia preceded it, right?
That's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
Now I have, already pulling out the tinfoil hat, because this is something that's been making me crazy since the movie. And we get the repeat of the line when he says, how does it feel? Talking about holding the shield. And he's like, feels like somebody else's. And he's like, but it's not. So what I've wanted to know since the movie, is this actually not Captain America's shield? Is this a shield from one of the other timelines that actually belonged to Falcon?
I think it's Captain America's shield. That would be too confusing for everybody else. The Russo brothers said that he created another timeline when Captain America stayed in the past. I'm like, oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Because it should be the same timeline. He just didn't stay in it himself. He fixed everything and then grew old. Don't tell me it's a new timeline. I actually disagree with that. I saw it. I'm like, no. I don't care if you wrote and directed the movie. No.
It's like, I veto that. Sorry.
Yeah, personal veto. Anyway, that opening, well, not the opening sequence, the second sequence with the helicopter rescue of Colonel Vincent was pretty amazing. That's very cinematic. Sam flies into action attempting to take back a hijacked plane from returning villain Georges Batroc. Good to see him again. And when Sam lands on the plane, he peeks through the window, because who doesn't do that?
Yeah.
And the guy who's piloting the plane is like, freaks out. And he's like, did you see that? See what?
I was cracking up because of I would probably crap my pants.
Yes.
If I see somebody looking inside the plane as I'm flying it. So, and
so many stories of pilots that see things when they're up there. And everyone's right.
Yeah. Well, and then when we have the bad guy say, I'm going to kill you. And then with what happens, I'm like, oh, foreshadowing.
Sam squares off one-on-one with a leaping pirate, which is Batroc, who's in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Yep. So they brought him back. He escaped.
I didn't recognize him at first.
Yeah, I know.
Jason did. He's like, oh, that's the guy. I'm like, what? How did you even catch
It's amazing,
that?
the stuff they bring back sometimes. Like, people have to clear their schedules and sign contracts and get paid money. I mean, Marvel always seems to put it together.
It's impressive.
It is impressive, not to diss DC, but, they had to throw makeup over somebody's mustache. And everybody knew it. So that's a great fight sequence. Not only was Sam's pursuit of the airplane amazing, but with his pursuit of the, I call them the flying squirrels. I think there was a real guy called himself the flying squirrel at one time. And they just fly through the air, and him going in and out of the helicopters and talking to Torres on there. He goes, well, you better come up with a solution. And I have. And he just flies through it and grabs the guy.
Okay, now amazing. I was like, do you think the stuntmen really were able to do stuff like that? Like go into obviously not at the same rate of speed or whatever, but how they kind of went in.
Did it. I don't know.
And Jason's like, there's no way. And I'm like, I don't know. It looks so real.
Well, shoot, yeah,
even before he did that,
a green screen and just that wires and just the body of the chopper. I mean, that wouldn't be too big of a deal to do something like that.
It looks so good.
I know there's stunt people that do all that, jumping like that, because they did for one of the Iron Men when they were coming out of Air Force One. I don't remember which one that is. 2, 3. But those were stunt, like, I don't know what they call them. People who jump out of planes. Like,
the crazies.
But there were some people that did that whole thing. And, like, I thought there was some that did that with those, like, gliding suits. Because I swear, if they did it all green screen, I had no clue. And I thought it was amazing.
That looked real good. There was one point where one of the Team Squirrel, it might have been Backrock, he just glides. He comes down the helicopter and glides right in. I'm like, man, I want to do that. I wouldn't survive it, but I'd want to do it.
Now, did we see the Disney influence in this opening fight sequence where we get a canyon?
Oh, sure. What do you call it? Trench run.
Yeah.
Trench run.
Exactly.
Another trench run.
Everywhere. You can't get away from it.
Everyone does the trench run now.
Squirrels had the advantage because they didn't have a large wingspan.
Yeah. A few times Sam scraped up against the rocks in there. He's like, ah.
And I have to say, when he first opens up the wings, like in the plane, and he gets shot at and it like comes together, it looked like the original Captain America shield. And I was like, oh, I love that. And I don't know if it was supposed to be that way or if it just kind of happy accident. They're like, okay, how would the wings kind of fold? But then again, is anything a happy accident with Marvel?
No.
I heard somebody say that he used a shield in a way. It was just his wings. He used his wings as his shield. Is it a metaphor? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was a successful mission. Sam doesn't it? I don't know what's the big deal about crossing into the Libyan border. That's not a nation state. It's like right now it's a collection of tribal factions, warring factions, warlords, and a so-called that. So I don't know why in this world, post-blip world, they care about crossing the Libyan border. What are they going to do about it? Not much in this day and age. Anyway, that's just me. Sorry.
Bring in some reality in.
Yeah, reality. Sam gets debriefed in Tunisia. He meets up with his buddy on the ground, Torres, who's got a place in Marvel Universe. And I thought, I was going to bring this. I think he's in every episode. I'm not sure. I know Wyatt Russell's John Walker is going to be every. And I also looked at, what was it? Oh, Leia. She's going to be in every episode too.
Nice.
But
when you said he has a place, like, oh, really? What is he? Who is he? Do I have to look him up now?
Yeah, Torres, because in the comics he becomes Falcon eventually.
Really?
Yeah. And
spoiler.
I know, spoiler. No, it was already done in the comics. When Sam eventually becomes Captain America,
right, Joaquin
Torres becomes Falcon. As he seems in this show a long way from that. Right?
Being able to do that,
yeah.
I thought he was a bad guy at first, like an undercover guy.
Yeah, he seemed too sweet for me to be a bad guy.
I don't trust anybody anymore.
You know what was cool? When they're sitting there and he's working on Red Wing. That's the name of it, right? Yep. Yeah, Red. And Torres is like a fanboy and everything. I mean, he knows his stuff, but he's still a fanboy. We found that Sam's working for the Air Force, but people recognize him. I mean, even in Tunisia, I'm like, you sure you want to do that? And of course, he greets the guy. I guess he thought, because Sam died in the pre-blip too. He faded into dust. Yep. And that guy's thanking him for bringing his wife back, which I'm assuming as the Avengers brought everyone back, and that's what he's referring to. He brought his wife back.
I would have to say yes.
Yeah.
I would say unless he did with some
Avenger
terrorist
actually made it happen, so any Avenger is going to get credit for it through this guy's eyes.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, Torres wraps things up by warning about a new group of terrorists called Flag Smashers. Who are seeking to make a world without borders. I love Sam's reaction to this. All the bad guys got bad names now, too.
What was with that name? I mean,
Flag Smashers?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's clumsy. That's really clumsy. Sam's right. Bad guys have bad names now. That is bad. Flag Smashers. But it was in the comics, so there you go.
Was actually this like an old, like, I was going to say timeline, but like set of comics that they pulled it from?
Yeah, I think it was in the 90s. They pulled it from the 90s comics. I get a lot of inspiration through that. Actually, I don't know if there was Flag Smashers, plural, but there was a Flag Smasher. He was a bad guy. And I think he might have had some of this, it's not clear to me, super soldier serum, and that's why he's so strong. There was a lot of guys that got experimented with super soldier serum, and that's what the most successful case we know of is Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Oh, I wonder if that's along the lines. I was looking stuff up. Some guy called Power Broker. And I'm like, seriously? That he helped make people stronger. Not quite super soldiers, but definitely increase strength and everything.
Interesting.
Or he just day traded really well. I don't know. Could be either one. But anyway, let's talk about what Dave alluded to earlier about Sam heading to Washington to give a speech at the Smithsonian, which I still really want to go to.
Oh, you got to go.
Pandemic over already. And in the audience, as he's talking, you see Rhodey. And when he's talking about Steve, like the heroic pose and what he did, and when he finally says, we need new heroes, one suited for the times we're in, and you see Rhodey kind of look down, I'm like, okay, Sam's kind of mourning Steve, and Rhodey is mourning Tony. It's like, all right, but do you think Rhodey's really thinking about, okay, I am now the guy in the suit, just kind of like Sam is?
It strikes me that Rhodey's more grounded than Sam. I think he's accepted his fate or what he's supposed to do. Of course, Sam is so unsure. He just can't get over it or become to terms with it. But I think Rhodey's comes to terms with his responsibilities. When he looked at Sam up there saying, we need new heroes, and when it's not me, I thought Rhodey was like, he's not ready, or he doesn't think he's ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I see Rhodey as more grounded than Sam. Sam's still, I don't know, a mess.
Told you he needed therapy with the rest of the group.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when he hands over the shield, even though they're putting it in the case, I'm like, no, don't take it.
Right. Because he's not getting it back anytime soon.
Right.
I was mad that the whole thing was a setup.
Right.
Thanks so much for doing this. Yeah, thanks so much for doing this. That plays later like, yeah. You jerk. Thanks for sucker. The only thing you didn't add at the end of it was thanks so much for doing this, sucker.
Right.
Oh, that was so bad.
I'm guessing that the guy had no problem with it because Sam says the shield is a symbol and it was Steve. It's not me. And it's just like, oh God, this just hurts watching it be put back there. Not realizing that by the end of this episode, all the betrayal is kind of happening. And I can't even say it's true betrayal, but I hated the fact that it happened.
Yeah, I saw this betrayal.
Oh, yeah, because it happened so soon. I mean, had this happened in episode 3, then yeah, maybe not. But because it happened in episode 1, yeah, they were just slapping Sam saying, no, you aren't going to be Captain America.
Yeah, that was cruel. That was cruel.
We get to see Rhodey and Sam walking through the Cap exhibit, though, and talking about the decision that, oh, God, it's so hard to, talk about this because it was, very depressing. I was getting a little teary watching it because you've seen all this stuff, and it's all right, taking you back to the movies, and you know the timeline. And when the camera just lingers on all the things that we've seen from the past, including the Bucky Barnes section, and the list of the vanished, it's like, oh, you're just twisting the knife. I mean, we know it's not real, and we know that the vanished have all come back, but it doesn't matter. You're twisting the knife and killing me.
Right.
I finally managed to watch the whole final movie, the whole Endgame, a second time. Since it's been, seriously, I did not sit and watch it since it was in theaters, but anyway, sorry. Rhodey arguing about the world is broken and society needs somebody to fix it. And he's looking at him like, that means us, right? But Sam just kind of looks at him and is looking back at the shield and the reflection just on the shield. It's like, oh, come on. He wanted you to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Afraid so.
Yes. And again, twist the knife. It was really kind of emotional. And it didn't even seem like it should have been.
And Rhodey turns to you. You're going to make me ask you, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because Sam's not giving up anything. You have to make him talk to you. Like, why not? Why didn't you pick it up? Oh, not ready. Whatever. I know. I have to tell a confessional right now. I've always been on Team Bucky. I always if someone's going to pick up the mantle of Batman, it should be Dick Grayson.
Right.
And if someone's going to pick up the mantle of Captain America, it should be Bucky. But, they're going with the history of Winter Soldier and everything else. So he's got to get over that. And I think Steve knew that Bucky wasn't ready. And as we see in this episode, he wasn't ready for sure.
No. Because we cut to a fancy hotel whose peace gets interrupted by an appearance from the Winter Soldier, busting through walls like a murderous Kool-Aid man.
Okay, when that happened, was anybody else like, wait, what's happening?
Because as soon as you saw the COVID mask on him, you knew it was what was going on.
Yeah.
And he dispatches one of his targets with the cool Hail Hydra, including an innocent civilian, which was rather sad, boy. That guy just started shaking so bad he couldn't get his key in the door. Now, who still uses keys?
Yeah, I know.
Hotels? I mean,
No.
Whatever
swipe
old
that
place
card
they're
and
at.
get your ass in there, man.
And that was like an old skeleton key,
Yeah.
which I thought was really cool. But I'm like, wait, when is this happening? Because seriously, I was like thinking something happened and he
true.
regressed.
It could have been many years ago. I mean, Bucky's not a spry chicken. 106. So yeah, that might have actually been in the 50s or 60s. But they didn't seem to be dressed that way. The hotel kind of looked like it was, but...
Yeah, I'm a bit perplexed of where that falls in the timeline, because he was obviously taking or executing hits for whom? Hydra or the Russians? He killed a Russian.
Right.
The Winter Soldier was created by the Russians when they experimented on their own super soldier serum. So why is he killing one of their own people? It's definitely in a period where he's Winter Soldier.
Yep.
But where? I don't know.
Yeah. That
he killed the guy's son.
time.
I know, leaping ahead here, so it can't be that far back because his father's still alive.
Yeah.
It seems a pretty, oh well. So
yeah.
There's no reason. I mean, there's no surprise that Bucky's undergoing counseling. He sits down with Dr. Rayner and starts lying about his flashbacks. And I love seeing Amy Aquino. She's Grace Billets on Bosch. She's terrific. I love her. It turns out that Bucky's in therapy and it's been mandated on part of his pardon from the government. And I like the forest of the trees behind him, the wall artwork. I don't know what it meant to you. It struck me that he was like a golf ball in a tall grass.
Yeah.
No one could see him.
Yes.
Yeah. Or he couldn't. Yeah, for sure. She managed to squeeze out of him that he has crossed off names of his list of amends. And we see him just do that after he goes after a manipulative senator who Hydra had helped get into power. And they managed to elucidate what are Bucky's 3 rules that he's supposed to work on or stick to. Don't do anything illegal. Nobody gets hurt. And to formally declare that he's no longer a Winter Soldier and make amends. I like how they fenced with each other.
Yes.
And he's like, if number 2 is so important, how come isn't number 1?
And I love how he has to smile, too, at the very end, by the way.
Yeah.
I appreciate her role as the therapist, and I know she's ready. She's ready for, it's called resistance. And symbolically, to them, or at least in this show, the notebook comes out because she knows. She knows when he lies, and she knows when he's resisting. You know, he may be clever. He's funny and clever about that, but, that's not going to walk.
She's definitely got his number.
Yeah. So as we learned from that flashback, too, he couldn't stick the 2 of them at least, but follow the most important one in the end. Rayner urges Bucky that he needs to open up one day and realize he can trust others, as evidenced by him ignoring communication with Sam. That was kind of interesting. I wonder why Sam is trying to get in contact with him.
Right.
Maybe just trying to see
being a buddy.
Okay, because they were the 2 people who talked to him at the end.
Yeah, and I guess so.
Yeah, all the theories that Bucky knew what Steve was going to do because of the comments between them originally, and that Sam didn't know, and maybe that's why Bucky doesn't want to talk to him and admit it.
Yeah. Well, she reminds him that he's all alone. A 100-year-old man who only had a brief respite in Wakanda between a life full of battles. He says he wants peace, which the good doctor immediately denies, and she encourages him to seek out allies to escape the personal hell of being isolated like that. He's free, but question is, to do what? I don't think he knows.
No.
And I have to love the way he's going back and forth first. Like, you are a terrible therapist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he tried that. She was ready for everything now.
Being passive aggressive much? And that was funny. Great, the pen again.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really funny. Like I said, except with the super close up. It's like, extreme close up. But I love how they go from there to, okay, let's kind of bring it around to Bucky going back home. It's like his life is separate, but is it? Because all of a sudden there's kind of a fight where there's like an old man ready to take on some young kid about throwing garbage in his can.
Yeah.
I really thought that he was going to have to fight an old man.
No.
It's like, come on, I'll buy you lunch. And I'm thinking, all right, this guy's probably the closest to his age and he just happens to know him from whatever, same apartment building, whatever. And I love it because they go to eat at this place called Yori And I'm like, oh, this is nice, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. The guy is Yori. Where did they go eat? Wasn't
Yeah.
I forget the name.
Catch the name.
Because they go there like constantly.
Yeah, they're regulars.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The guy's name is Yori. And it turns out, and this took a minute because I didn't get it until the red bean mochi? I don't know how to say that word. When he says that his son loved it, I'm like, oh my God, that's the dad.
Yep.
Dad of the guy he killed.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Did he actually try to make amends and then got sucked into being this guy's friend?
Yeah,
Not like sucked in.
Dr. Rayner was trying to figure out if he's had any nightmares. And when we saw that scene, like, was that a flashback or a nightmare? And now we know for sure it's a flashback.
It was rough watching that because the way it transitioned, like, oh, they're just talking and he's not so flirty, I guess, with the girl at the restaurant. And Yori's like, yeah, he wants to take you out. Okay. I'm older than you, Yori, is what I was kind of expecting. But apparently nobody knows who he is. How does nobody know his face?
Yeah, he wore that mask and the long hair. I saw people discussing on the internet that they prefer the long hair. I don't.
No.
They're kind of ragged.
Yeah. He definitely looks like a wild man with the long hair.
Yeah, definitely.
Is this like the whole Clark Kent? Like, you don't know it's him if he's wearing glasses. He's got short hair and nobody recognizes him. But we do see Bucky trying to make amends because when his date ends up talking about Yori's son, he all of a sudden just walks out on the date. I'm like, damn, could have said something, not like,
well, he said, I'll be back, and never went back. And it's like, she's not going to be real happy with you.
Right. Because then you see the name in the book and it's just like, oh, God, okay. And then instead of getting anything else here, we go over to Sam on a dock in New Orleans. And apparently his sister and nephews, who he mentions about them post-split all of a sudden being young men.
Yeah, little man.
Little guys, little dudes. They're talking about selling their parents' boat. And Sam's like, no, we can't do that. It was where we lived. It's where we grew up. And she's like, listen, you made a deal with me. Let's stick to it. And we're not doing this. And Sam, of course, is not letting that go. Because he needs to save his sister. Because he needs to save everybody. That's the mindset I think he's in right now. Like, I can't save the world. I am not letting you take away my grip of the world that I had.
Yeah, he doesn't realize he needs to save himself first.
Right. So we see both these men in a headspace that is probably not conducive to being their best.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
What will be the catalyst that will bring that, not only them together, but bring out the best of them together? Who knows? Well, we cut to Switzerland. Oh, boy, we're just jumping all over the world.
Are we cutting to Switzerland?
Yeah. And we see Torres at a gathering of flag smashers, I guess. It was very difficult to tell exactly what was going on there.
It was a flash mob to create chaos.
Yes, absolutely.
Some people on the internet didn't realize what Torres was doing. Remember that, what was it, Pikachu or Pokemon game? Used to play on your phone? And we're like, wow, I heard some people on the internet like, what is this tech where you can see things on your phone? Like, are you kidding me? It's like Pokemon. That's Pokemon. I never played it. But I know what it is.
Right.
All I have to do is look around and point your phone someplace until you get a hit.
Right. And
From what I understand.
they were getting. They were getting the red hand on their phones.
Right. Yeah. So if this guy has that kind of power, I don't know why he needs a flash mob, but whatever.
Well, it keeps anybody from at least getting a good description of it.
Yeah, well, everyone's wearing somewhat the same mask.
But at least he was a good head taller than almost everybody else.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah. So with a lot of people there, it makes it, even though he is a head taller, he can still get through there without really being easily identified by his size.
He's like way stronger than the rest of them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he did a
It's like Sam says later, you're lucky that's all you got. He got his face smashed.
I don't know how it wasn't worse.
Yeah.
Me too. Okay, so the guy's strong. And then he hands off the bags to two other people. I guess one of those people we're going to see in the future.
Oh, more than likely.
I believe
there's a woman that took on the mantle of Flag Smasher, or at least followed that legacy too. I'm not trying to be a spoiler alert person here, but I think one of the women, one of the people that he handed the bags off, like, why would you hand your bags off to, just run? But he did, and I think one of those two people is going to play a major role a little later. We'll find out. Anyway, we go to the bank scene, which really, oh God, I can feel my hair on fire.
Yes,
watching this thing. So it's so mad. Sam and Sarah go to the bank trip, attempting to get the loan for the boat. And despite the siblings trying to stick to the matter at hand, the bank manager, I guess, is more caught up in how the Avengers make for a living, which is always an interesting thing. I think I've read lately that Tony Stark actually did make a fund for these guys so they can make a. They don't really address that here, even though the bank manager says, did Stark leave something? May he rest in peace. He adds to that real fast.
Yeah.
But he reveals, and this is just an excuse, that the blip put the economy in dire straits because everyone wants a loan after that.
Right.
Still, he rejects their application, prompting an argument between Sam and Sarah. And I was just sitting there. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to be the bank where the Avenger banks?
Oh, hell yes.
How dumb are you? I don't care. You racist piece of you-know-what.
Right.
Sarah's seen it before. She just rolled her eyes. I mean, you could tell this is brutal for her.
Yes.
But really, that guy, how dumb are you not to be the bank where the Avengers go? That is so,
Right. Like, he's already taking pictures. He could totally post it. Be like, bank where Falcon comes. And, although at the same time, I'm like, why doesn't he just go to Pepper at this point? Be like, Pepper, we need a loan.
Yeah, really. I know. Anyway, they storm out of there. Sarah was right. She was right.
Yep.
They talk about their late father. She accused him of Sam of coming back just to right his wrongs. We're leaving his family behind. He didn't have much choice, but still, he's trying to make everything right. And he's insistent on not selling the family's legacy. And even the boat's named after his parents. He failed to fix up the boat. He looks over the pictures from the past and those left behind, and vice versa. He can't fix anything, including the boat.
Right.
I have to say, I was, actually, if he
not
can
electronics.
Yeah.
If he can fix the bird that's on his backpack, you think he can fix this. But I was a little upset with his sister with that whole, you left and now you're trying to right wrongs. Yeah. He freaking turned to dust. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like he's like, I'm going to go on a sabbatical for a while. No.
Yeah. I don't think
literally
that's
didn't
really
exist.
what she was referring to. I think it was going further back in his life where maybe the parents had just died and he went into the service, into the Air Force, basically.
If that's what she's talking about, I can understand.
I think that's where she's coming from, is that, when she got left all by herself to try to keep the family business going, and apparently her husband had passed as well. And so it's, she felt abandoned by him. There's no doubt about that. She's managed to hang it all together for so long that, she's not really feeling his need to make things right.
Yeah. Plus she had those 5 years where she's been through all this. She's already been through all this.
Yeah.
And here Sam's just rewinding the tape.
I can get that, but still, like, I immediately thought it was the whole you left us and flipped out.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I was like, that's horrible.
Get over yourself.
Right. Yeah. He didn't choose to turn to sand, and then Sam gets a call from Torres. It's like, oh, here, get to a secured line. Does he just have one like installed in the house? What's going on? So, but he gets to see the experience of what happened in Switzerland. And interesting, because if that guy was able to like have that much power behind his kick and he like stomped Torres' face, how is it not more busted up?
Right.
I know.
I felt it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They did real well in that scene, because I think everybody went, ooh, when that happened, because you could feel the pain.
Oddly enough, it's the good guys that are killing people in this episode, and it's the bad guy who's actually spared Torres, just kicking his head. That's weird.
Well, maybe he thought he did more damage, so he left and didn't care. Like, he's done for. But here's the part that got so many of us super pissed. Because the news comes on in a press conference that with a declaration that a hero is needed to defend this country and embody America's greatest values. And as soon as they said that, I'm like, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
And I swear, like, I looked over, since it was my husband and I'm like, And he's like, did that, you think? Because we tried to keep spoilers to a minimum before we watched this.
Yeah, they played Sam. They burned him.
Yep.
Oh, I was ticked because then they're like, and now here's a new. Well, did they officially say new Captain America?
No, they didn't say Captain America. I think he's going to be, well, maybe they'll try Captain America. In the comics, it becomes U.S. Agent.
Yeah, I was reading how there was like several different names that he used. Like he was Captain America, but then failed fit the mantle. So he changed it to like, U.S. Agent. And apparently the costume looks just like U.S. Agent. So everyone thinks it'll just go that route.
Yeah, no, they called him the new Captain America.
Did they officially? Okay. That's probably why I was really pissed.
Yeah.
But when he came out and literally he did nothing but like wink and smile.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was, I think his name is Jack Gleason, which was the kid from that played Joffrey in Game of Thrones. And I'm like, I can't say what I said, actually.
Well, I said goober. I literally said goober.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That would have been a nice thing to say, but that's not what I said. But just watching this, like people clapping and Sam looking just so betrayed because holding that shield. And I'm like, you son of a. And don't make us regret everything. But I think at this point, yes, they're putting us on the road that we're going to see Bucky and Sam regret the decisions of the past. And how are they going to like reconcile everything? But apparently, these flag smashers are brandishing like all this crazy tech that we don't know about and like doing stuff in secret, not quite to the level of S.H.I.E.L.D. Or not S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, yeah, technically. Hydra. Well, technically, it depends what you're talking about. But at least we don't think they have Hydra level stuff yet.
Right.
So I don't know, because I keep looking back thinking, okay, what if A, B, and C are connected to this? Looking at the movies, looking at TV, going back, trying to figure out where everything fits in. And I so wanted a WandaVision type of commercial in here so I can figure something out. Throw one of these bad boys in to maybe give me a hint.
Right.
But looking ahead, I just feel like, I don't know, this guy could be the most likable person. He could like spit glitter and like sweat puppies, and I'm going to hate this man.
Yeah. I don't even know if there is an Avengers anymore.
No.
I guess so. I don't think so either. There's no Steve Rogers. Thor's off somewhere, I guess. Sam's working for the Air Force. Thor's roadie. Yep. Tony Stark's gone. So there is no Avengers, right?
Absolutely.
That's weird.
Well, I don't know. We would have found out something from Black Widow, but that got pushed back.
Yeah.
That's a prequel type of show anyway. Yes. She's dead. She's dead.
Yeah, but they were supposed to kind of bring stuff. And I think somehow we're going to lead into the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
Because we got from Hawkeye, we're getting pieces of Kate Bishop. So maybe the regular Avengers have kind of all stepped back.
Retired.
Until they bring X-Men in, and then we can get AVX and we'll find out.
Yeah.
Take that with a grain of salt. There's something out there that they're trying to bring mutants officially into MCU.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm done being crazy with this episode for at least 30 seconds. So take it away, Steve.
Well, we'd love to have your thoughts on this episode. You can reach us at www.fangirlzone.com. Our email is contactus@fangirlzone.com.
All right. Please rate and review us on iTunes and any other platform you use for your podcast. With good ratings and reviews, it helps other fans of the show find us, as there are plenty of other podcasts out there. Marvelous podcast, that is. Tell your friends, and I hope you're enjoying our podcast. And don't forget to check out the other great Fangirl Zone podcasts.
Like Steve said, you can find us at www.fangirlzone.com. And we are on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all over podcast catchers, iTunes, and on occasion, you'll find us on Tumblr. So for this episode of Marvelous Post-Blip Podcast,
I'm Steve. You're gonna do the notebook thing.
I'm Shawn, Fangirl S.
And I'm Avenger Dave, and you have to say that with a deep voice. Sorry for a little of the subpar performance from me. A little too much beer, a little too much pizza today. In fact, if you'll excuse me, I have to go, moon stuff.
There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.